Oh, alright. Today's weather here in San Francisco, clear, but the fog is coming in, so the wind is up. Yesterday was so hot and miserable, it was hard to even stay awake and do anything or concentrate on what you were doing. But today, whole different day, much cooler, much nicer, but there is a wind, so that'll probably interfere with the video a little bit when we get up there to do it. It's an important video. It's why the IPCC report was so doctored. We have sort of an undoctored version. Now it's quite warm out, probably in the high 70s, and it just suddenly warmed right up, just almost like a switch. NOAA, NOAA, shows methane now at record high level. It averaged 1,895.7 parts per billion during 2021. And that's what the IPCC report doesn't want you to see. That is 162% greater than pre-industrial levels. 162% greater. Look at this graph. It's almost vertical. The graph is almost vertical now. That is 17 parts per billion annually since 1983, when they started taking measurements of methane. 2020 saw an increase of 15.3 parts per billion above 1983 levels. 2021 saw an increase of 1,895.7 parts per billion above 1983. Meanwhile, CO2 increased 2.66 parts per million over 2020 average. This marks the 10th consecutive year that CO2 increased by more than 2 parts per million. This represents the fastest sustained rate of increase, that is, the 63 years of monitoring. Scientists fear soaring methane levels may have triggered a potentially irreversible feedback loop. Another thing that the IPCC report didn't want you to know, or was muzzled on. Last September, the EU and the US pledged to reduce methane emissions by 30% from 2020 levels by the end of the decade. Well, that's been scrubbed because they're all starting to use more coal now because of the Russian war. The world's 3 leading methane emitters, China, Russia, and India, have not joined the pledge. A 75% reduction in methane by 2030 is essential to keep this feedback loop down. It's apparently that we're not going to get rid of it altogether, but at least we can reduce it some, if we can reduce it by that much. The problem is that, see, we're just ignoring all this. What kind of news have you heard about this? Hardly none. It's very hard to even find this information. I watch the news. It's Russia, it's the Ukraine war all the time, pretty much. And if it isn't that, it's the shooting down the street, the massacre down here, the killings over there, here in the U.S. It's all the news we get anymore, is who's shooting who. But maybe with more guns we can control the population a little bit better. It's the birthing of all these children that's causing so much trouble. We just don't need any more humans on the planet. And the use of coal by all the major nations now because of Russia's gas being pulled back is just a tragedy that's going to make the world a very miserable place to live, especially on the next El Nino. It will get very, very hot around the planet, and it will get very hot very quickly to where you don't have time to drive away to a cooler place. You're just going to have to suffer through what's coming, and what's coming is dreadful. It's anything like yesterday's heat wave here in California. I was just so wasted. I kept using ice packs to keep cool. I can't imagine what is coming next. Well, it's up to us to spread the news, since nobody else is spreading the news. Give this video an up or down or a new subscriber, and the algorithm will spread it around a little bit more. Whether people will watch it or not, I don't know. But anything is better than doing nothing. With the heat here in California increasing very quickly now, I think later today it'll be in the 80s again here in San Francisco. Though it's forecast that the fog will return. I'm hoping it does. And until next time.